Hi, Stacy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our viewers. Stacy Burnette is the Director of Government and Regulatory Affairs at Comcast in the Beltway region, and her role there is she's basically responsible for maintaining positive relationships with government officials, legislative monitoring, advocacy, and managing community investment budget. Blah, blah, blah. That's a lot, Stacy, and I'm so glad that you're here to talk to us about some education issues. But I just always want to kind of set the tone, because even though I gave your professional background, I want to know, who is Stacy Burnette? I mean, you're from Los Angeles, you've been in DC, you worked for the district government. Tell us who Stacy Burnette is.
Well, I'll start by saying I'm a double alum of Howard University, where I received a bachelor's degree in accounting and a professional degree in law. And I practiced law for about 10 years before I became a cable regulator and then moved over to Comcast. And I'm having a wonderful time working with DC government officials and community members to spread more information about Comcast's Internet Essentials program.
On a career note, we both are alums of Howard Law School. And, I went there with the expectation of pursuing a career in communications law. I have to admit, it was a few years before you got there. And folks didn't know what I was talking about. They were like, I don't understand how we're going to make this connection between an internet that didn't exist at the time, right? Cell phones that we weren't using at the time. And so how did you kind of position yourself or get into this career path of communications law, which is what I'm defining it? I'm not sure. And yours is public policy too. But how did you get there?
So I started off as a trial lawyer for the DC government in the Office of the Attorney General. That's what it's called now. And I met a lady who was the executive director of the DC Office of Cable Television, Deborah Royster, and she needed a lawyer in her office. And so I had a great trial record, and she was willing to have me as her lawyer there. And I had to learn everything about cable at the time, but that's how I got into it. But you're right, no one could envision, at least we couldn't, that we have this amazing internet tool, that we would have cell phones that, everybody wants a cell phone. It's just incredible. But I commend you for having vision, knowing that communications was this broad field and how useful your law degree would be in this field.
Well, here at the Informer, it puts me in touch with the experts like you. So it's a win-win situation. And this week we did an editorial actually on, it's just my kind of personal philosophy that now that we're doing this remote learning, and thanks to Comcast Internet Essentials, it seems as though this is an opportunity to sort of level the playing field for a lot of students, because if they have the tools, right? They have supportive parents, teachers who've learned how to use those tools, and then of course the internet itself, which supplements everything that they would not have learned in a classroom. It makes it, to me, it levels the playing field. What do you feel about that?
So I think you're right. The internet is the world's largest library. And when you have internet service, you have immediate access to volumes and volumes of information about everything imaginable. And so the beauty of Comcast Internet Essentials program is it allows low-income families to connect to high-speed internet service for $9.95 a month. And in fact, our Internet Essentials program was designed to address the three major barriers to internet adoption, which are cost, digital literacy, and equipment. And so Internet Essentials addresses cost by only charging $9.95 a month. We address digital literacy by providing free digital literacy training to all program participants and their families. And some of our training partners you're aware of, the DC Public Library, who has locations all across DC, Bite Back, and several other entities help us provide training for people who need to understand how to work a computer and navigate the internet. And then the last component, equipment. As part of Internet Essentials, all families they have the option of purchasing a low-cost computer. And just one more thing, I just want to share this one other thing with you.
Please.
Just recently, last week, we introduced a program, or we announced a program called the Internet Essentials Partnership Program. And it relies on public-private partnerships and enables communities to collaborate to fund high-speed internet service for low-income families. And as a result of this program, we started it right when COVID began, shortly after March. And since that time, we've connected and collaborated with 70 schools across the United States. And through this Internet Essentials Partnership Program, we are, in collaboration with these schools, providing internet service to 200,000 students so that they're prepared and able to fully engage in distance learning.
Wonderful. That's good news. That's powerful because, we know that there's a divide, a digital divide. It's existed for a long time, and it sounds as though this is Comcast's way of addressing that divide. But I'm wondering, what is the biggest challenge that you all are facing when it comes to providing the service in communities like where I am, for example, in Ward 8?
Right. So it's a couple of challenges, Denise. Number one, just awareness about the program. And that's why we are excited to partner with you and thousands of other community-based organizations to make people aware of the program. You can't participate in something if you don't even know about it. So awareness is always something that we are engaged in, and we partner with schools, nonprofits, libraries, all these entities, so that they can share information about this program. And then some of the other barriers are just relevance. People are not aware of how important the internet could be to their family. Mm-hmm. It's transformational. People start businesses right in the comfort of their home and become millionaires. And so just knowing how relevant it is to have internet service. And that plays into the adoption issue. Why some folks don't adopt it, it's not as if they don't understand it, they just don't know how it would benefit them and their families. So those are some of the challenges.
So you say you're working with DC Public Library.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, many of the libraries are really closed right now, but how can people access either we're running the phone number below, so we want to make sure folks understand that this is a number they can call to get more information about Internet Essentials. Yes. Is that correct?
That's
wonderful.
Correct.
Wonderful. And what happens, if I make that phone call after listening to this show, what happens next?
So if you call that number right now, you would be connected to a person. You say, I'm interested in Internet Essentials. I just heard about it. And they would walk you through an application. So they take information from you over the phone. And if you qualify, we get you connected to the internet. Now, let me share with you the qualifications for Internet Essentials, because it is strictly for low-income families. Mm-hmm. And so the first qualification is you have to either qualify or receive some type of public assistance. And so examples of public assistance are Medicaid, veterans assistance, housing assistance, temporary assistance for needy families, supplemental nutrition assistance program here in DC. So, and also if you have a child, at least one child that receives or is eligible to receive free or reduced lunch through the National School Lunch Program. So those are the examples of assistance that you need to either receive or be eligible for. And then the second qualification is you have to live in an area where we provide our products and services. Third, you cannot have received Comcast internet service in the last 90 days. You cannot have been a recent subscriber of our internet service. And then lastly, we have some debt requirements that we are completely waiving from now until the end of the year. So if you owe any debt, it's okay. So that we can get more people signed up to the program. And I just forgot to tell you one important thing, Denise.
That's okay.
As part of Comcast COVID-19 response, we offered proactively 60 days of free high-speed internet service to new Internet Essentials customers. I already explained we waived the debt requirement, and then we also opened up our Wi-Fi hotspots, thousands of them in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We opened up these Wi-Fi hotspots to anybody, and they are in our outdoor and small business locations. And all of this is available until the end of the year. So those are just some examples of what we're doing to assist people in getting connected to the internet.
Well, that last part was a question I was going to ask because, the schools were sort of, having a difficult time deciding whether they were going to go back into the school buildings or whether it would be remote learning. And right now, I think the conversation just means kids and teachers will be home, at least in the district, until at least until the end of the year. So this certainly does support their study, and I think I'm like James now. That's a great thing. I like that. I think that's wonderful. Because I do worry. I've talked to folks, and I had someone say to me the other day, I don't understand why folks don't have cable and why they don't have internet when they've got those game things, which are expensive, in their homes. But you addressed that too. You said sometimes people don't understand what difference it will make in their lives, not only for parents who are trying to find jobs, people that can't get out. I mean, there's a lot there that having this access will help or benefit families. And I appreciate what Comcast is doing.
Oh, thank you. It's a way to stay in touch with family members. There are just so many amazing uses for the internet. And so I encourage everyone who is listening and viewing this program to reach out to Comcast, either go on our website, internetessentials.com, internetessentials.com, or they can dial that number that has been showing on the screen, which is 1-855-846-8376.
Well, full disclosure, we're a customer. And you're right. If it were not for our relationship, we wouldn't be doing this show right now. So thank you so very much for making sure that we have good internet, right, in our community so that we can do what folks do in other parts of the city and the world. We appreciate you, Stacy Burnette.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate the partnership that we've shared for years.
Yes, yes. All righty. Well, have a great day. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
All righty.
Where did you come to get off?